Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange. I'm here to help beginners get started in China painting and encourage those of you that have been painting a while to paint along with us. And today we're working on our Hollyhocks. And I have to say, I'm very pleased with the results. This is what my first fire turned out like. Now, it should be pale, so don't panic if yours isn't pale like this. It should be pale. That's the whole point of painting a first fire. See there? We're layering. So the colors that I have on my first fire should be light and should be very kind of wiped out. And that should be the way that they look. So I just wanted to give you that reassurance for those of you that always tell me, oh, it looks terrible. It's all burned off, you know, it all fired off. I have to show you what my final fire turned out like on my other plate. I just finished it. And I have to say, I know it's not as beautiful as some of the plates, but I really like this plate. This is my final fire. And I love the plate itself. See how it has the little forget-me-nots? And then I decided to put a little green on the scroll work. I did some pen work in here, which is what we'll do on the final fire. This little house here, I had to do a wash of wheat over it. It was way too dark. So if you're using rich brown, get rid of it. I think for this particular little picture, you're going to find it's just too harsh. Or and I put it on my other one. I'm going to do the same thing today, so you'll see. And then down here, I have the little picket fence and everything. So I'm very, very, very pleased with the way this turned out. Colors for today. We have a little bit of a switch up, not much. I have that pink, that's a soft pink that I've been using. Any pink, whatever your best pink is, but don't use Lori pink, please. Lori pink is the wrong pink for these. I have cobalt, a light and a dark green, which for me is chartreuse and moss green, and at the very end here I have black green and then shading green. The key today is going to be this one, and this is red grape. If you have it, terrific. You will need it. If you don't have it, I don't know, maybe a ruby. You could probably use a ruby. This is cool shadow, and then I have, this would be deep blue green, or mine's called Tahiti. I have my wheat, which you can use tan for, and I added Copenhagen blue because my sky's a little bit too blue for me. And so I want to tone it down a little bit. I have white, lemon yellow. I want a bright yellow because the center of these Hollyhocks needs to pop. And then on the end here, I have an auburn, which for me is my medium brown. So those are the colors that I'm using. So as far as the yellow, let me show you here. See how bright it is? It really pops. That's what we want to put on this time. So, and if you use a lemon yellow or a really bright yellow, it'll do exactly that. So I'm using my filbert. It's my big filbert. It's actually a 12. You've seen my filbert before. And I'm going to take a combination of Copenhagen and a little bit of that bright blue-green that I had there. And I'm just going to, this is a little fence line across here and back here. So I'm just going to kind of, oops, a little too bright. Just wipe it on your towel if that happens. And put it across there. And then I'm just going to do the sky. And I'm kind of mixing the two colors because I want the sky to be a little more toned down than it was. For me, it was a little too happy blue, a little too turquoisey. I'm just doing half circles and things like that that'll, like C strokes, if you will. I'm doing a full load of the blue-green and a side load of my Copenhagen just to kind of bring some of the darker color in around some of these buds here, because I think if I do that, they'll stand out a little bit more. So I'm just kind of massaging it in, you know, these little circles. I'm making like little circles almost with it. And it just seems to go right where I want it. But I want, we do a little more here. I want it to be a little more blue. And I may have to pat this because I can see it's a little too blue. This has a nice edge on it. Let me bring it up so you can see it. See that pretty edge? I want to use that edge as much as possible at the third fire to add a little green to this because I think that would really make it pretty. So, oops, way too much. In fact, so much, I'm going to pull out an eraser, one of these sponges and just sponge it off because it's just gooky gloppy. Okay, and get over here. But I want it to go up to there so that I have, here, let me do this so I can see what I'm doing. I want it to go up into here because I want to make sure that that border has a little bit of color below it so that it'll stand out a little. Okay, now I'm just going to take this and kind of blot it a little wherever I've got a little too much. I went over the buds and everything because you really don't care at this point. And I'm trying to get rid of any big globs. Now I'm going to get a little Q-tip here and just wipe off anywhere that I got it on my my edge here. Oops. Yeah, up in there. I got to get that. I don't want that to look like that. I want it, my edge, the little scrolls to look nice, so I'm wiping it off, and I'm also going to wipe it off of these buds here. And the stem, that's why the pointed ones are kind of nice, and a little bit of this tree here. Alrighty. So there wasn't too much there. And then the final thing is I'm going to wipe it off of this fence. See how I'm going across the fence? And then I'm doing these little guys. On the final fire, we will do a little bit of pen work on that fence, and it'll really bring it to life. Okay. Alrighty. Pretty happy with that. Now I'm going to do this tree a little bit. So this is my pointer. It's a number 2. This one just happens to be a Jane Houston, but the thing I like about the Jane Houston, I actually have 2 of these, and look at what a beautiful point they make. I'm really pleased with these. Now I'm going to start with a little bit of shading green. And all I'm doing for the tree is just doing, okay, you see how it's all green and then there's some dark green. If you look outside at your trees, you'll see that there are a little bit darker green, little like holes in it. So that's what I'm putting in here. I'm putting it under the brighter color just to try to make it look like there are little holes kind of in the tree. And up in here, see, I'm going under this part, under this part. I'm pretending the sun's over here. I'm going to go under this part here and on this side, because that would be, and you know, there are clumps all the way through, so you have to do it a couple places. I did it here and here because the clumps are all the way through. And then there I had a little dot that I want to cover up of paint. I apparently dropped some paint or something on it there, so I'm going to cover that up. And then do this side and this side. And just do some of the sides. Divide it up a little, and it should look a little more like a tree that way. Okay. I don't know if that looks like a tree or not. We'll find out. And then I'm going to go in and take a little bit of my medium brown. I have an auburn. Whatever color you have is fine. And I'm just going to suggest, and I'm going to try to make this as light as possible because these browns can really take away. I'm really going to just suggest branches up in that tree. Kind of like that. Okay. Alrighty. Now, if you want, you can bring it down further on this side and what have you, but this is the brown. This is the rich brown that I used on my first fire on the other plate on the house, and it was way too dark on the first fire. See here? Can you see that? So what I'm going to do, it was really dark. I'm going to do the same thing on here that I did on there. I'm going to take my wheat with my pointer, just load up the pointer, and I'm just going to wash it. I want it to be in the background, and I made a mistake by putting that color on there. It's too, but up here I do want some more color. Okay. That's a little bit of the medium brown. but I'm going to wash it with the wheat because I want it, or tan if you have tan, because I want it to go into the background. I don't want it to stick out like a sore thumb. Same thing with the front door. I did it with that color, and I'm just going to wash it. And then these two little guys here, I'm going to wash them. See how that instantly takes it into the background? I think it's a great way if you've love the timber frame look on the house. I did too, but it should be in the background of this picture. The hollyhocks should be the main point, and so I had to change the way I was doing it and think of another way to do it. Now I'm using my red grape, but I'm going to use it lightly and just put it on this back here. This is the chimney. And it's one of those that comes in and goes up like this. Oops, come here. I can't tell what I did. Okay. Let me get the blue out here. Okay. And then you can take, if you want to, oh, no, that chimney looks terrible. Let's bring it down to the side of the house anyway. Okay. Yeah, look at your chimney and decide, is it too big, too small? Mine's a little big. Let me see what's really up here. I'm going to take one of these and just sort of... Yeah, I must have made it a funny shape for some reason. Now, here's a way to cheat that. I'm going to take a little bit of brown, and I'm just going to put the brown here. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the wheat, and I'm going to put the wheat here. And I'm going to make this all part of the top of that. A little more wheat. There. And then the chimney's only in the background. And then you can take, if you have one of these erasers, and just put a little bit of brick on it. You don't want to go so far. You can just hint at the brick, and the next time when we have the pen, if you want to do something more dramatic, you can. Okay, now I'm going to take Cool Shadow, which is, let me show you the Cool Shadow I have. This Cool Shadow I use a lot. It's a portrait color, but it's a great portrait color because it really does tone things down, and I'm just going to add it to the house here, and here, and here, and here. See, it's not a vibrant blue. It's a real pretty blue, and you can use it and not take away from your subject matter. So I'm just putting it on the house. The house is kind of secondary. I'm not going to worry about the house too much. Just trying to get a little color on it here. Okay. And then I want to put some flowers in the flower box there. Okay, I want to roll my brush so I have a point, like that. Then I'm going to take and put this on the tip and just, oh, well, I probably need to do the, hang on, before I do that, let me get my other brush here. Probably need to do the windows with something. Let's get a brown here or something just to make the windows a little darker. Okay. Alrighty. And then I'm going to put this, okay. And I'm going to put this here and just create a few flowers. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a little green. I'm going to make it into a nice little point. There, that's better. And take a little, maybe moss green, something that might show up against this, and just do a little of this, okay? That gives you those little flower boxes. You don't need to do anything spectacular for those. And then if you want to, you can put some bushes along the side by using the same pointer, moss green with a full load, with a side load of shading green, and you can just put some little kind of a I guess I'm gonna have to go darker, just shading green, I guess. And put a little transition here beside the house. And you can do that any way you want. And if you think it's a little too, you know, bright, take your finger and just go over it and tap it. And that'll put it back in the background a little bit. And then here I want to separate it from that tree a little. There. Okay. Now we're going to do the grass. And the grass, you know, we do with the rake. This will be the last time that we do these things. We'll do pen work on the next time to try to liven things up a little, but that's it. So I'm going to start down here with the I want to see what this color is. I'm just using shading green right now. I just want to put a little down here. Oh, you probably can't even see down there, can you? Yeah, you can. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to, and there's a little over here. Okay. So we can almost leave the light back there. We might even want to add a little bit of yellow or yellow-green. So a little chartreuse with a little yellow in it back here, just to spark it up a little bit. And I'm just doing full loads of both. There we go. Maybe a little moss green over here. There we go. Then you're going to do it across the front of the house a little bit, or side of the house a little bit. Okay. And now before you finish the grass, you're going to do the road. And then the grass comes up on either side of the road, so you want to do the road next. My big filbert. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that brown I have, that medium brown. And I'm just going to go like this. I'm using only the tip of it. I'm only loading the tip. It's a full load. And I'm just going back and forth and back and forth. Hang on here. I need a little more on that side. Maybe I'll do a side load. That'll give me a little better what I want. And you want to come down here. Down here. You can just go over this thing. We can wipe it off, right? There we go. Yeah, I'm doing a side load. Oops. Side load, and it seems to work a little better for me. And I'm wiggling. Nothing on this is highfalutin painting except maybe the flowers. The rest of it, and the leaves. The rest of it is wiggles and that kind of stuff. And then just look at your path. Decide if it looks the way you want it to. You may have to do a little of this just to smooth a little couple places. And that's your path. Easy, huh? And then we're going to take, I'm running out of Q-tips here. We're going to take another Q-tip and go up and clean out all these little guys up here. Okay. That's better. Okay. Alrighty. Now, go back to your rake. And you can put a little bit of a darker color if you want on it. You might want to give the grass a little bit of a speckled look. Here we go. Dipping it in my oil. Full loading one side of my rake. And you might want to give it a speckled look, like you're going to want it to follow this path. And when you get down here, you have to change it to this side so that it's able to be seen like it should be seen. Oops, come here, you. There we go. Okay, and then on this side here, you're going to take it and go up like this. Now I exaggerated it a little with the darker color so you could see it. Now I'm going to pat it out and go up a little less vibrant. But that's the way it would look on that path. It wouldn't necessarily, you know, especially if they cut it or something, but okay. And then I'm just going to take moss green, a little shading green, and just, I think I like it. And you can give it a little, you can give it like, there can be spots where they didn't mow so well. You know how that is out in the country. They have a couple little spots where they forgot to mow, and or the grass is growing a little faster, and there you go. Okay, that's that side, and then I'm going to do the other side too. I want it to be a nice pretty green. I put the moss green on first, the shading green on second. It's full loads with both. I'm just raking it. Here we go. Here I need a little more moss green closer to the flower. It'll be easier for the flower to work with moss green around it than shading green. Here I do too. There we go. And I guess I'll come down this side a little bit. I remember I wasn't quite sure what to do with this side here. And so I'm going to come down there a little bit with the green and just sort of finish it off. And I'm just using the moss green there. Oh, whoa. I need a little oil, I guess, and a little moss green down here. Okay, so I sort of finished it off. And then I'm going to go back up and just make sure I like it. Look at it real well, make sure I like it. Bring the green where it needs to be. Okay. Now you have to picture this done in your head. For some people it's hard to picture it done in their head, but let me just give you a preview, okay? So you're gonna have that all done, and then you're gonna have these guys here. Oops, come here, you. I know I'm not. But see, you're gonna have that all the way around with the green. And I think it's gonna be very, very, oh, that's a horrible one. Hang on. See, I think it's going to be pretty when it's done. Right now, I'm just going to take this green off, though. But that's what it'll look like at the very end. So keep that in mind, and you got a lot of pen work yet to do. Okay, so we're done with our rake. And now we're going to start on the fun part. We're going to start on the flowers. And for the hollyhock, I'm going to start with the hollyhocks first, because this stuff is fairly simple. It's just shading green and moss, and you put it on a liner or a pen and just sort of do it. Well, they're up in the top. Let's start with them. Okay, so I'm going to put it on I'm going to put it on this. We're going to add a little more. I'm going to go into moss, go into my shading on the side. So full load, partial load. And I'm just bringing it down below, because remember we said the sun's up here. And then up here, I'm going to just do it lightly. I'm going to do the pen work next time. Where is it here? That will give you the little separations on each of these buds as they open. But if it needs any kind of shading, this is the time I'm putting the shading on, okay? And then down here, this one is going to be predominantly here because the sun is above, remember we said. Yep, that's good. And you can do a little bit down here. And a little bit over here. What is that in there? I don't want it to fire in. Yeah, really check your plate, because you don't want, if you have a rim on it, you don't want that to fire in. You don't want the color that you may have put down to fire in there. This is not working for me. Let me get my liner. There we go. That liner is a godsend. I never used a long liner until I met Paul White, and I got this long liner there. And it's a godsend. The hardest thing for me is to keep a steady hand, and I think this does seem to help me do that. There we go. And if you get over a little, like I did right there, just go back and correct it. It's not a big deal. The other day I was talking to Kay Meyer. I think a lot of you know Kay. And she's in our club. She's our president. And she said she always just uses turpentine with her liner. She doesn't use any special, you know, oil or use oil on there at all. Okay, now we're going to go back to the buds. This one's kind of missing its head here, so I'm going to fill that in with chartreuse, and then I'm going to side load with this is the shading green again, and just put the dark on the bottom there so that you can see it, and so it's ready for the next time. Same thing right on this side. We're going to put the chartreuse up here. Oh. Just a little. Chartreuse is so light, it won't mess you up, even if you put too much on. That's what's nice about chartreuse. And then we're going to put a little bit of the green down here just to give it a little oomph. And in this case, I think I'm going to paint more across this guy here. Okay. All right, now we're down into the two buds. This one just has that shading green. It's either too dark or too light. Let me see. Use your tile to test. If you think it's getting too dark, test it on your tile before you put it on your plate. That's what your tile is for. You ladies all know that, I think. And then here I'm just doing this. And then I'm going to come back at the base and give it a little color. Where are you here? Okay, now this color here is actually red grape. I kind of like it there. I could use a little more here. And I'm using my liner for all of this, as you know. I'm not touching the fence. The fence we're going to do with the pen next time. It just works so much better. Okay, so we have all that done. Now we're down to these guys. This is where you need a nice brush that fans out, or you need a good brush. Let's see. Maybe not a brush that fans out. This is an 8. I'm checking. Nope, that's a little too big. This is a 6. Perfect. See, I want it to go about halfway up the length of that. But I'm going to start with putting a little more pink on these because I think they should have a little more pink and a little more blue. So I'm doing this. And I'm just pulling it out to the edge. And I'm only using pink side load right now to do this. So I'm using my soft pink. Then you skip a little bit. Then you skip a little bit. That gives a little bit of highlight, and you don't even have to do anything to create the highlight. I've got a little too much here. So I'll just, there, gives a little highlight. Then I'm going to take the pink, still leaving it on my brush, side load with a tad of cobalt, and just do this down here. Because I want the bottom, you have to have the pink with it though. I want the bottom to be a little darker. Okay. And then you can take a little bit of the cobalt and put out here too. Oops, that's too much. just pull it out, okay? Alrighty, now we're going to do the same thing on this guy, and this guy. So we'll start with the pink, and we'll do the pink on this guy. There should be a little more cobalt there. You can see that because that's behind here. So we'll add in the cobalt up here. There we go. He's really in the background, isn't he? And we're going to go around him. Alrighty. Add a little cobalt and come in here. Just tap, 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 tap. It'll work for you. Trust me. It doesn't look like it will, but watch. Tap, 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 tap. I'm just tapping. And it works. And it gives you that, and then you can go like this if you need to, just to pull out some of that darker color. Then go back to the pink. Put a little more pink on. Okay, I know I'm going a little faster now. And then I'm switching to a larger brush. I'm going to switch to an 8 because this next guy is a little bit larger, and I'm just going to do him the same way. A little pink here, a little pink there, here a pink, there a pink. Okay? See, I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just putting it some places. This is kind of the same thing you would do if you were working on a morning glory, I think. Except on this, I want this one to be a little bit brighter. There we go. And I'm going to wipe off a little there, a little there. Okay. 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 And we're going to do these leaves before we finish this guy. So we're going to take, I think I'm just going to take my shading green with a tad of black green maybe. And I'm just going to do around the top there. I'm doing C strokes around the top. Okay, here again, little C's. Little C's. Come bring it down the middle a little bit, bring it to the edge a little bit, and then put it on the outside of this leaf. Okay, and then down here, there are no real leaves. You're making them up as you go. So just make that look like a leaf, and make that look like a leaf, and make this look like a leaf. Just come to the middle, stop. There we go. Just the key with these leaves is know when to stop. Don't put too much on them. Now we need to put a little more blue on this fence. Not a lot, because it's really there, but I just want to, I guess it's okay. That house really looks sick. Let me just do one thing. Let me at least put the brown on this side and the brown on this side where the roof would show. There. I think that helps a little bit. And maybe I'll make a brown, a little circular brown. There. I don't want it that dark though. But the 6 and the 8 for here. And we're going to go into a side load only of red grape. You want to load at least half the brush when you do a side load for this color. And you want to pull down towards the center to deposit the color. That will make sure that you don't have too much color. This is red grape, and a lot of people go, ooh, red grape. You may have to touch it up next time. It's better to put it on lighter this time than to have to patch it up next time. It's easier to put more on. It's harder to take it off, so that's all I'm doing. Is I'm just, and you have to put the color all the way around because it is all the way around. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to step it up a little now because I know I like it a little darker than that. Okay. And a little more over here. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing here. And now the two biggies. We switch to the bigger brush, the number 8. And again, you try to fill half, and you're going to pull down. This is what makes these so pretty. And leave it. Don't putz with it. Test it on your tile so that you know what you're going to get when you put it on here. And then leave it. Don't go back. Okay. And now we got this one to do. Have this one to do, I should say. This table, this tourney thing, which, by the way, if you are interested, I understand you can get it from Amazon, is a godsend when it comes to a project like this where you're doing things in circles the whole time. And that's the focal point of your piece, okay? I'm reversing my brush. I've got the dark on the outside, and I'm just reversing my brush a little because some of that was a little dark there. Okay, I'm leaving that now. I can darken it on the next one if I want to. Going back to this little guy, my pointer, we'll use a little bit of, I'm going to put a color there right now. We'll use a pen down here too. Let's get this darker color there and just do it there right now. Okay. So yeah, that I always have trouble figuring it out. And this I found I can do more with up in here than a small square shader, because it can go flat like this or it can go to a point like this. So I can use it for a lot. Now I'm going into the lemon yellow and doing the centers. Oops, let me get my hand out of the way there. You want these centers to pop, so you want them to be bright. And lemon yellow is the brightest yellow I have, but you don't want it to have lumps on there. So go through and make sure that when you take your brush and you kind of make sure there are no lumps sticking up if you put it on too heavy, okay? And then these have this little thing that comes out in the middle. And I'm going to get my liner. Here's my liner. And I'm going to use the same color, the red grape, on my liner, and I'm going to create these little guys that come out in the middle. They're kind of like this. Oops, need some oil, I guess. But, you know, you don't have to be so specific. I mean, they're kind of... Oops, that's okay, that one went the wrong way. Okay? And then, that won't work. Maybe this will work. I'm just gonna, nope, that's not working. This will work. This is my stump. I want it to look a little bit like an acrylic painting, so I don't really care if this is exactly right. Okay. And the only other thing I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to wipe off this side of the house so it's a little lighter up here. The house is still bugging me. I still think it's a little too dark. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, we missed these guys. Sorry. Well, you do them just like you do the other ones. You take the green, you go around like this, and just make them all green because these guys are unopened. Yeah. One there, one there, one there. I'm just pulling them out from the background. One there. One there. Come on, I'm in the shading green and I'm just going in circles, pulling them out. One here, one here. Okay, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of the dark green up the middle with my liner, I guess, because that's not working for me again, just like it didn't the last time. There you go. All right, that's done. So this is the final for today. Okay, and this is the final period that I finished already for this other one. And can you see all the pen work on there, and on the fence in the back, and the fence in the front, and the little house and everything? So we will be doing that next week and really finishing this off. So then I will see you next time. Pick up those brushes and keep painting. If you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.